Hi everyone, this is Sabrina. Welcome back to my channel. I am so excited to do another 2 books for my reading journal, and this is going to wrap up September. I am going to document Katherine Carter's book, The Bodyguard, and also Amy Harmon's The Unknown Beloved. I actually am using a relatively new kit from Tracy Reed, and I'm using her die cut stickers. Normally when I put together these pages, I like to go to Google or find some images and then make my own stickers and go from there, or use pieces from my stash. But this time I really loved how these different flowers coordinated with each of the books, so I figured I'm just going to use those. I also wanted to use some vellum because The Unknown Beloved kind of had lace on the cover, and it reminded me of the vellum kind of matched with the lace for me. So I'm going to layer on some vellum, and I just layered on a pink piece of cardstock. And then for The Unknown Beloved, I will do the same thing, but this time the cardstock is black because that matches better, right? For each of the book covers, I also wanted to frame them in with the different die cuts. So on the Bodyguard on the left-hand side, my pink piece did not go all the way to the bottom, so I added a vase. And then The Unknown Beloved, I wanted to add a moth, but I couldn't quite figure out where I wanted it, and I wound up putting it up in the top corner, which kind of I figured out later on, and I need to move it, but it kind of hid the man that's in the shadows. And I will explain who that is later on when I do my review. I had a little tiny piece of scrap vellum, so I just put it up at the top, and also a die cut that says noted with a letter, which is also significant to the book. For The Bodyguard, I just framed in the cover with a bunch of different flowers to kind of mimic the actual book cover. And I don't know if the flowers are the same, but it still coordinates as far as the theme. And over on the right-hand side, I'm sticking with more of the neutrals with the browns, and then adding in some orange and red. And of course, some stars, since this book had a lot of kind of nighttime theme feel, especially with the paranormal aspect as well. And down at the bottom for The Bodyguard, I have a word phrase that says she is fierce, which goes along perfect because the main character, Hannah, is a bodyguard. I am figuring out where I want my different stamp pieces, and then I will go ahead and get out a piece of paper and stamp all of those phrases. I chose some phrases that say make space, slow down, here's to strong women, and look within. So some pieces that I thought matched the book really well. And the slow down and make space is actually from a tarot card stamp set from Everyday Explorers, but slow down really matches the theme really well for The Unknown Beloved, and make space matches well for The Bodyguard because it's both of them are making space for what comes next in life and making space for love. So I was able to find a different purpose for that stamp set. And here's to strong women. Like, I think I mentioned this already, but Hannah is a bodyguard, and in the book it describes her as kind of wholesome and small stature and size, but she could be lethal even with a ballpoint pen. So I think it was really cool that there was a character like that, and that it's just a character who's a bodyguard. So really cool. I am going to finish fussy cutting these out, and then I will figure out where I want to place them. I had 2 phrases, you get it, and my partner in crime, that I wind up not using, and that's okay. Sometimes I stamp some stuff and then just don't use it. So I'm going to go ahead and place my different phrases. I kind of already told you the spots that I'm going to put them, and then I have to figure out how am I going to squeeze in all my thoughts and all the quotes I want to include. So I'm probably going to do, no, I'm not probably, I'm kind of hinting at it, but I'm definitely going to do some hidden aspects with this page. So I'm already kind of thinking about how I want to document my reading journal for next year. I almost want to go like a different format, so that way I don't have to worry about stretching this journal to its maximum capacity. But I don't know. I haven't decided yet. So for the Bodyguard book, I decided to do a little flap at the bottom to hold my quotes. I thought about doing the same thing on the other side, but I couldn't get it to fit, and I didn't like how it was fitting. So I decided to go ahead and pull up the book cover and make a flap that way so I can put some quotes underneath there, because both of these books were really good surprises as far as being fantastic books that I was not expecting. They have great reviews, and I stumbled Katherine Carter is a favorite author, and I was not expecting this book to be as good as it was. I don't know why. That sounds rude, but I just was not expecting it to be so darn good. And then The Unknown Beloved came highly recommended, and it's absolutely an utterly fantastic book with multiple layers. So I will get into all my thoughts in just a little bit. So for the quotes on the Bodyguard, I just layered in some more flowers, and then I can write in quotes and get started on my thoughts. So like I've already mentioned, this book surprised me in the best way, just because one of the main characters, Hannah, is a bodyguard, and she can have a wide range of clients, and sometimes they are high end, and she is now going to be a bodyguard for a man named Jack Stapleton. I think that's how you say his last name, and because he has a stalker and needs protection. And they wind up going to his family's house because his mom is sick, and they just pretend to be boyfriend, girlfriend. And of course, things just go from there, and they wind up having a really amazing connection. And throughout this book, they kind of both have to deal with certain things. Like Hannah has to learn to make space for the possibility of love after heartbreak. And Jake has to learn to deal with some grief after some things have happened, and I don't want to spoil it. And through that, they both realize, that they do have this connection, and they have real feelings for each other. It's just a really good book, and it's like a slow burn type of romance, but it is fantastic, and I really loved it. Just really a great, great book that surprised me. All right, quotes. So the first one is, I think just because you can't keep something doesn't mean it wasn't worth it. Nothing lasts forever. What matters is what we take with us. So that was the first quote. And then the second one is, you can't make people love you, but you can give the love you long for out to the world. You can be the love you wish you had. That's the way to be okay, because giving love to other people is a way of giving it to yourself. So that is a fantastic quote, and again, really sums up both of the characters and how they both made room for moving forward and love. Okay, let's talk about The Unknown Beloved. I stumbled on this book through Instagram and then saw my book friend Christy had read it. And you guys, this book is so multi-layered. It's incredible, and it's actually based on a real serial killer in 1930s immigrant Cleveland, Ohio, called the Torso Murderer, and actually a famous character, or not character, but he was a famous person, Michael Malone. And this guy, Michael Malone, is so mysterious, you can't really find much about him. The author talks about it at the end of the book, so you'll have to check that out. But yeah, fascinating. So Dani meets this new rookie cop named Michael Malone on the night her parents die, and this begins their connection. They have a really interesting interaction that involves kind of the supernatural and spiritual. I don't want to give it away. And years later, they meet again, and Dani is a grown woman now helping her aunts run their seamstress shop. And Michael winds up in the area assigned to investigate these torso murders, and he rents a room from Dani. This leads to a partnership between Dani and Michael in solving the crimes with Dani's unique abilities. And then they realize kind of that their connection is a lot deeper, life-changing for both of them. And it's just a fantastic book about, the paranormal, mystery, grief, death, spiritual awareness, and just the things that they say to each other in this book. It's just deep and poetic, and I loved the way that Michael loved Dani and both of them. It's just such a unique book that I really, really enjoyed. And I had a hard time narrowing down my quotes, but I did find three quotes that I really liked. So highly recommend this book. It is fantastic. Such a, like I keep saying, a layered story with so many different pieces, and many of the pieces are based on reality. So that makes it even more interesting to me. And I love it. I don't want to give away too much because there is a lot that you just have to read about when you go to read the book. Okay, my quotes. So I kind of took a little passage from Dani and Michael talking. So it says, "You scared me," he repeated. "But you're not scared of me," Dani clarified. "No, Dani, I'm not scared of you." And then this is kind of from his thoughts. "In many ways, she was the most remarkably untangled human being he'd ever encountered. Complex, but not complicated. Deep, but not dark. Worlds gave her a wide berth, but out of reverence." So I thought that was really cool. And I took things a little bit out of context because I needed to make smaller the quote. The next one is, "It is the things we most want to put down, the things that are hardest to carry, to endure, that give our lives the most meaning." Oh, so good. And then the last one is, "The truth is, the harder we are, the easier we shatter. It takes some softness to absorb life's blows." Oh my goodness, so many profound quotes, and I couldn't get enough of this book. So I hope you check these out, and I would absolutely love to know what you enjoyed reading in September or October, or even what you're reading right now. I would really love to know. Right now, I am reading and finishing up the Saturday Night Ghost Club. So I'm going to wrap up that book and then start on my next book. I wanted to figure out what highlighter I'm going to use, what marker I'm going to use. So I took a piece of scrap journal paper and I wrote a word and then I highlighted it to see if I liked it. But then I had to use so many more markers that my trick didn't really work. But I eventually settled on a yellow for the Bodyguard and a brown for the Unknown Beloved. So I'm just going to highlight a few phrases that I liked, like amazing book, multi-layered, Cleveland 1930s, Michael Malone, Dani, a connection, and then rents a room. And then I just highlight the different themes that I talked about towards the bottom of my review. Then I'll highlight some pieces in the quotes that I really, really liked. I have to always try hard not to highlight the entire quote because I love these books that I put in my reading journal are just really great books, obviously, right? Because they're my favorites. But there's always so many fantastic quotes to include. I am working on finishing up highlighting for the Bodyguard and again highlighting a bunch of words in the quote and again trying not to highlight every single one. Added in my book rating and still forgot to fill in the book rating, so I will do that off camera. And then I'm going to add in some sparkles. I added a sparkle on the right-hand side and then a different one on the left-hand side. Just a little something to kind of move your eye around the spread, and that will wrap up this project. And I absolutely loved how this all came together with Tracy Reed's die cuts, and I hope you have enjoyed. I'd love a thumbs up or a subscribe if you're new to my channel. All right, have a great day. Bye.